Now, the cuts to USAID and other departments were a big part of the president's first cabinet meeting yesterday. I want to bring in CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Olivia, it was sort of a surreal moment to have all of these members of President Trump's cabinet first time meeting all together in the same room, and then to have Elon Musk sort of standing over all of them in black, wearing that black hat. And talking about the things that he expects to do in his capacity with Doge, which we have also learned that he is not actually the administrator of.
Yeah, Vlad, what a moment yesterday, that first cabinet meeting of Trump's second administration. And at the start of it, Elon Musk really holding court with the press, talking about the cuts of Doge and what they plan to do. And really what we're learning is that USAID is just the start. We saw a memo go out yesterday from the Office of Personnel Management to the heads of federal agencies, essentially telling them to prepare for mass layoffs and reduction in force. This memo went out and they asked these agencies to submit their plans by March 13th of how they would reorganize these agencies, essentially reducing layers of redundancies, getting rid of federal contract workers, perhaps getting rid of any folks that in the agency charts that they consider duplicative. So a lot of movement there in the coming weeks. We should expect about a mass layoff of federal workers and really a restructuring of what the federal government looks like and who works for the federal government.
So let's talk about this meeting that will happen between the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Trump at the White House. He's expected to make the case for the United States to maintain support for Ukraine. Yesterday in that cabinet meeting, President Trump made clear that he's not guaranteeing Ukraine's security. He said it should be left to the Europeans. So what do we expect from Keir Starmer?
Right, so this meeting with the British Prime Minister is really sandwiched in between the meeting between the French President Macron, who was here on Monday, and the meeting tomorrow with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, at that meeting tomorrow, Trump and Zelensky are expected to sign this critical earths mineral deal. And essentially what this would do would give the U.S. access to a lot of the critical minerals that Ukraine is blessed with, lithium, iron, things that we use to make batteries. So it could give the U.S. access, but Trump is getting what he wants out of it, which is that he doesn't have to make any security guarantees. So the British Prime Minister is here today to do a little bit of a delicate dance, talking with the president about Europe's security guarantees, that even though if there's a ceasefire, Macron and other European countries have discussed putting forth essentially reserves of troops to make sure that there's lasting peace in Ukraine. They want to make sure that there are some U.S.-backed security guarantees for Europe as well in all of that.
All right, Olivia Rinaldi at the White House for us this morning. Thank you, Olivia.